Hello, friends. Okay, so today we are going to talk about adding and subtracting whole numbers. And then we're going to do a little bit about regrouping with fractions. It's something that you're probably would see one question about on the SOL. So we don't spend a whole lot of time on it. I just need you to see it. But it's not something that you need to focus a lot of energy on, but you definitely need to have seen it. So I'm going to say adding and subtracting mixed numbers. So please, number one, excuse my runny nose, my congestion. My allergies are acting up a little bit today. And I just misspelled Miss Numbers. Okay, so numbers, and then we'll take some other notes about regrouping. If I'm writing these down, please be sure that you are as well. Okay. All right. So adding, subtracting mixed numbers with like denominators is super easy. So if you take 2 and 1/4 plus 1 and 3/4, okay, your denominators are the same, so you don't have to do anything to that. You would just say 1 plus 3 is 4, 2 plus 1 is 3, but you're not done because 4 over 4 can be reduced to a whole. So you would take that 1, add it to the 3, so your answer to that one would be 4. But you didn't have to come up with greatest or lowest common multiple or the common denominator because it already had that done for you. So the only thing I say, which I know we talked about that before, but just be sure to do your whole numbers last and then add them to the final answer. Okay, so if you have unlike denominators, so let's say you have 2 and 2/3 plus 1 and 1/4. Ugh, I don't think I left enough room. All right, so we don't know what the denominator is here, so I'm going to smush this in there. So it's going to be too small, but it'll work. All right. All right, so think about what could we do to find a common denominator. That 3 cannot go into 4 evenly. But we could just say 3 times 4, and that would get us to 12. And that is probably the easiest way to do that if the smaller denominator does not go into the bigger denominator. All right. So then you have to get your numerators. You have to look at that 3 and think, well, what did I do to that 12? You multiplied it by 4. What you do to the bottom, you got to do to the top. 2 times 4 is 8. And then what did you do to the 4 to get to 12? You multiplied by 3. What you do to the bottom, you have to do to the top. 1 times 3 is 3. And so now you're ready to add. 8 plus 3 is 11 over 12. But do not forget your whole numbers, and that would be 3. Okay? So super easy. Exactly what we've been doing. We're just adding whole numbers in there. So let's do 2 more, and then we're going to move on to the regrouping. Okay. Let's look at coming up with problems for me is always super hard for my brain. Let's see, 3, and let's do 9/10 minus 1 and 2/5. Okay. So we don't have common denominators, so we need to create those. Looking at 5 and 10. Can 5 evenly go into 10? Yes, without a remainder. So that means that 10 would be our common denominator. 10 would be the new denominator that we're going to use. Looking at 10, what did we do to 10 to get to 10? You multiply by 1. 9 times, what you do to the bottom, you do to the top. And then 9 times 1 is 9. What did you do to the 5 to get to 10? You multiplied by 2. And what you do to the bottom, you do to the top. 2 times 2 is 4. And now you're ready to subtract. 9 minus 4, that is 5. And then over 10. And then you've got 3 minus 1 is 2. But can I stop there? No, because now we need to reduce. You can reduce with a multiplication chart, or you can divide both sides by 5, because 5 can go into 10. 5 divided by 5 is 1. 10 divided by 5 is 2. But just don't forget to bring your whole number with it. Okay? So that is that. Let's do one more. Let's do 4 and 3/4 plus 1.5. Okay. Looking at 2 and 4, what would be a common denominator? Well, 2 can go into 4, so you would use 4 as the common denominator. What did I do to 4 to get to 4? What did I do to this denominator to get to that denominator? You multiplied it by 1. And once you do to the top or the bottom, you have to do to the top. And then 3 times 1 is 3. What did I do to 2 to get to 4? You multiplied it by 2. What you do to the bottom, you have to do to the top. And then 1 times 2 is 2. Now you add. 3 plus 2 is 5 over 4. Now I've got my 4 plus 1, which is 5. Now, can I leave it like that? No. I have to convert this improper fraction to a mixed number. So to do that, you're going to divide. You're going to take the 4 and you're going to push that 5 over. It falls in the box. I only came up here just to give myself more room. 4 goes into 5 one time. 1 times 4 is 4. And you have 1 left over. Okay? So the answer to every division problem when you're turning this into a mixed number, the answer is always the whole number. And then the numerator is the leftover subtraction. And the denominator stays the same. Now, you need to add that whole number to the original answer. Is that my house? Which would be 6 1/4. Okay, sorry. I have a Ring doorbell, and it just went off that I had something in my backyard, but I don't see anything. Sometimes the squirrels will set it off. It's hard to tell. Okay. All right. There's that, and that's your answer. All right, so now let's talk about, I'm going to pause the video real quick and to make sure there's nobody in my backyard. Hold on 1 second. All right, I'm back. I'm sorry. So just if you were wondering, there was a squirrel in my backyard. Oops, it's pretty funny. Let's see if I can. There he is right there, little culprit. This is what I have happen all the time. It's either a squirrel or my neighbor's cats. Now, what that is reindeer food that Evelyn and I put out on Christmas Eve, but it had oats in it, so I think it's sort of making the squirrels really want to come and get some food. Maybe I should put some out there. Okay, so fractions with regrouping. Okay. Now, like I said, that is horrible handwriting, and I apologize for that. I'm going to redo that because that is so bad. Okay, so what that just means is that you're going to have a problem where you're going to have a whole number, and then you're going to have that whole number subtracting with a fraction. So they're going to have like 16 minus 4/11ths, and you've got to solve that. And how we solve that is by giving this number a fraction, okay? And what I mean is that you're going to set it up. You're going to have the 16, and then you're going to put your 4/11ths right there, okay? Because you're going to put a fraction right here. And I know this sounds crazy, okay? But just bear with me. It's real easy. Okay, so we're going to subtract this. So I'm going to have 16 minus 4/11ths. Okay. Well, every whole number can be written like a fraction, right? If I have, just like we did back here, not there, but there, right here. So we said 4/4. That was written, it can be written as a whole number, right? So anytime you have the numerator and the denominator are the same number, that means that you have a whole. You have one whole of something. So that's how we can fix this problem. You can borrow from that 16, make it a 15, okay? So you've got that extra whole number, right? So in the magical land of fractions, it's going to go above, and that whole number is going to turn into a fraction, okay? It's going to turn into a fraction. But you want it to match the denominator of the fraction that you already have. So you're going to have 11/11. Now that gives me a fraction, and then I can subtract now with the fraction that I originally had. I don't have to do any common denominator because I've matched the new fraction with the old fraction. I've matched those denominators. So I've used the whole number right here that I borrowed, turned it into a fraction with matching denominators so I can subtract. And then the only thing you have to do is say, okay, well, 11 minus 4 is 7. And that would be 7/11, and bring down your 15. Done. That's it. That's all you got to do. So it looks hard, but it's super, super easy. It is super, super easy. All right, let's see. I've got 4 minus 3/4. Now this one's super duper easy. 4 minus 3/4. Okay. I'm going to take my 4, and then I'm going to put 3/4 down here, and that's subtracting. I'm going to put my little box right here so I remember I need a fraction there, okay? I need to say 4 minus 3/4, but I need to make a fraction so I can subtract this fraction from another fraction, okay? So I'm going to borrow from this whole number, and that's going to turn into 3. In the magical land of fractions, this whole number is going to turn into a fraction. The whole number that you're borrowing, okay, you're regrouping. That whole number you're borrowing is going to turn into a fraction. I want to match the denominator that I've already got in this problem, so I don't have to do anything hard. I'm going to put 4/4 because that is a fraction, but it also equals the whole that I borrowed, okay? So then all I have to do is say 4 minus 3, which is 1, so that'd be 1/4, and then I bring down my 3. Again, that is it. That is it, guys. That is super, super easy. You've got this. Okay, let's do another one. Let's say 2 minus 13/30. All right? I don't know why I'm using that symbol because that does not. I'm going to turn that into an arrow because it's not greater than. I don't know what I was doing, to be honest. Okay, I'm just going to make a little arrow. Timeout. So sorry. All right, what I want you to do is just try this one on your own. I made those in arrows. Try this on your own. Set it up and see if you can do it. Okay, so pause me if you need to. And I'm just going to make my problem. All right, pause me and see if you can do that. Okay, so I'm going to borrow from my 2 and make that a 1. And then in my magical land of fractions, that whole number that I just borrowed is going to turn into a fraction. I'm going to match that denominator right there, so I don't have to do any hard thinking. Okay, 30 minus 13 is 17 over 30. And then I just bring down my 1. And then you're done, guys. Super, super done. Super, 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 super done. Don't know what that means, but. All right, let's do another one. Let's do 11. No, let's do 2. Last one. 2 minus 4 sevens. 2 minus 4 sevens. Okay, do this again. Pause me one more time and see if you can get this one. All right, so pause me. So I'm going to borrow from that 2, make that a 1. And that whole number that I borrowed is going to go to the magical land of fractions and turn into a fraction. But I want to match the denominator that I've got down here. And so that's going to make that 7. But then it's going to turn my numerator into a 7. So I have an equivalent of a whole, but I've matched that denominator. Okay. Then I just have to subtract. 7 minus 4 is 3 over 7. Bring down my 1, and I'm done. Okay, that's it. All right, so you're going to have a mixed numbers mystery picture to do. And then you're going to have an exit ticket, and it will include a couple of these on there. But, no worries, because just look at your notes, and it's a little easy. Okay, remember, we don't have to spend a whole lot of time on it because we don't see it a whole lot. All right, see you on the flippity flop.